Hey everyone, it's Peter from Argo. It is that time of the month, although it's been more than a month, for us to do some Twitter Q&A. So thank you for sending your questions in. We've got a lot to go through. It's been a little bit busy with being in New York with the NASDAQ bell ringing, so I was hoping to do it before we left for New York. Did not get a chance to, so there's lots of questions that have come in, so let's jump into it. All right, first off, from Midlife, at Midlife92. First off, congrats on the NASDAQ listing and ringing in the Thanksgiving NASDAQ opening bell. Wondering if you can have a special invite for your loyal shareholders as a kind of pre-tour of the Helios facility. I think it's an awesome idea. I think we should do it. So I'm not going to announce it here, but we will take it under deep consideration late March, early April. Loyal shareholders, we should do something. If people want to make it to Texas, I think it'd be cool. So, Midlife, thank you for the idea. We have had a few other requests. We're gonna look into it and see if it's feasible. In Dickens County, Texas. All right, Nicholas Slater, Mr. Slater, how you doing? When will Texas be running at full capacity, and do you have any worries that there will be a delay to your projected timelines? Thanks, Nick. Hey, Nick, thank you for your support and for your question. I do not have any concerns right now that there's going to be any delays for our projected timeline. We're still looking at late March to energize the site and start installing machines. As you've seen from the construction pictures, things are moving along nicely. Justin and Matt are doing a great job in Texas building the site out. All the long lead items, there's no reason to think any of them will be delayed. So yeah, so we're expecting everything to be on time, as per the schedule that we've announced. It's why we've hired professionals who have experience in project management and built in, the right pieces in the contract, et cetera, et cetera. So no reason to think anything's going to be late. Dave at Yearly Dave writes, is there a realistic ballpark price and timescale of when you think the full 800 megawatts could be utilized at the Texas facility? Is this something on your radar? Yeah, it's on the radar, Dave. It's a good question. In terms of price and timescale, obviously, those of you that follow the company closely would have seen that in a recent, conversation, one of our team members said $1.5 to $2 billion in terms of ballpark price for the site. Obviously, there's lots of factors that determine how much capital it's going to need to build out 800 megawatts, the most important being the price of machines. And that fluctuates depending on the price of Bitcoin, depending on what kind of machines you buy, depending on how efficient they are, depending on how long how long a lead you go out. But it's definitely north of $1 billion, which I've said before. The infrastructure, we will get more efficient at building it as we go. But it's somewhere between that 1 to 2 billion number is probably the right number in terms of capital. Obviously, our focus in the short term is the first 200 megawatts. That's the first building. That's really enough capacity for 2022 to get us to a significant amount of capacity. If there's an opportunity to escalate into the next 300 or the next 100, which would take us 300 or 400 megawatts, we will. But it really, there's lots of factors that determine on how fast we're going to go. So that's hopefully, a sufficient answer. I think the important part for Texas is that there's lots of runway. There's a real constriction right now of access to low cost power, not just in Texas, but all through North America, all through the world. You've heard that from other miners. It's still the case, and we believe it's worth it to have a large facility that we can build out at our own pace using our smart growth philosophy. So that's the strategy there, and we're confident that it's the right one. All right, next question is from SMAC at Nomis123. Hi, Peter and team. Congrats on impressive progress since last Q&A. How much Argo testing has been done on Immersion? Do you consider this to be proprietary know-how or a new industry-wide standard? How would you describe execution risk related to deploying Immersion? Thanks. Thanks, SMAC, for the question. In terms of testing that's been done on Immersion, so we've been working with a US-based manufacturer who has a ton of experience in cooling applications, industrial scale cooling applications. That's who's building out our immersion. We've been testing at their facility in the US over the last many months. And so, yeah, there's been iterations that we're confident that the system that we have being built out is going to work at scale. I think that immersion is still very new, so there really isn't an industry-wide standard. I think ours will be, I think a lot of people are going to try to copy this because it is really clever the way Perry's designed it and the way he's worked with the US manufacturer to build it out. So it's possible it will be an industry-wide standard in the future, but it's still kind of early to say that. How would you describe execution risk related to deploying immersion? I would say that the main thing that we still are testing is how long it will take us to install the machines at scale. And so that is something that we're going to, have to figure out how to make sure we have the right manpower to do in the coming months. Other than that, in terms of the cooling efficiencies that we're going to get, in terms of the cooling systems that we're putting in, the dry coolers that are going to be, cooling the liquid, we're confident that the system that we've built is going to work. And so the execution risk on that side is very low. But yeah, I think we're really confident that it's going to be an excellent system for us to run in Texas. All right, Matthew. At Matthew, a bunch of numbers. Hi, Peter and Argo. Could you give us an insight into the type of immersion gear / fluids you'll be using in Texas? It's really a question for Perry in terms of the type of immersion gear / fluids we'll be using. I can tell you kind of broadly how the system works. There's 4 components to it. There's a bath, essentially a tank that the machines sit in. There's dielectric fluid that sits in that tank. Then there's pumps that move that fluid into dry coolers outside. So the 4 parts of the dry coolers, which does the cooling, keeps the liquid at a certain temperature, which keeps the machines at a certain temperature. Then there's the tanks that hold the fluid. Then there's the fluid itself, and then there's the system of pumps that move the liquid in and out of the building. So that's kind of how it works. Obviously, you need to get the fluid right in order to make sure that it interacts well with the machines. You need to size the pumps right. You need to make sure your dry coolers are the right size. We will do a video soon with Perry kind of describing our system and why our system works well. But essentially, those are the kind of big pieces of it. I understand you probably tested many different types. Are you close to a final decision? Yeah, the decision's been made. We have the system. Now it's just kind of tweaking little pieces here and there. But we're pretty much set with this system. We're just getting things like the flow rate correct and all of those kind of smaller tweaks. Would you be able to give a ballpark date for a decision? Yeah, decision's done. There'll be a video coming out soon, hopefully, where Perry walks you through how the system works without giving away everything to the world. All right. Hello, Peter and all at Argo. This is from Wayne 1892 at Wayne Brasso. Please, can you provide details on the Pluto situation? This has been frustrating as they were intended to IPO on the London markets earlier this year and nothing has happened. So here's what I can tell you about Pluto. We talk to them regularly. Obviously, they are their own company. We're a large shareholder, the largest shareholder. We believe in what they're doing. Those guys are deadly smart. They are crushing it in the space that they're in. And we think it's moving in a good direction. That's what I can say about Pluto. Okay, a couple questions have come in by email, so I'm going to answer those as well. One of them is about the credit facility that was part of the DPN deal. I've answered this question a bunch of times, but I'll answer it again. So this person writes, what happened to the pre-negotiated credit facility that was part of the DPN deal as announced by Argo in its 10/02/21 RNS? So that debt deal was kind of a nice to have. It was an optional part of the DPN deal. We looked into it. We did analysis on it. We reviewed it, and we felt that there were better opportunities out there, better alternatives out there than that particular debt facility or credit facility. So we pursued those other opportunities and haven't done that. Haven't taken on that debt deal. All right, another question came in by email. Argo agreed to a purchase order of $8 million with Epic in February of 2021. That deal was subsequently scrapped and $5 million to put towards New Machines, Epic stock, or a refund. What is the status of the $5 million? What happened to the other $3 million? So the other $3 million was a future payment that formed part of the initial agreement. When that initial agreement was renegotiated for the second agreement, there was no future payment that was needed for that particular part of the agreement. So we never paid the $3 million. It was just $5 million that we paid. Epic has that deposit still. We are in monthly, if not weekly, contact with them. As I've said before, our CTOs are working very closely. There's lots of value that's coming out of that relationship. And we're confident that when the time is right, that $5 million will be deployed into Epic's next generation of miners. And so we're still very happy with that arrangement. And we think Epic are, industry leading small manufacturer that, sometimes these relationships take some patience with. And we're very patient with Epic, and we're confident that there's going to be some really important value for the company that's going to come out in the long run. All right, another question that came in by email. What will happen to the 500,000 share options granted to Colleen Sullivan in September now that she's leaving Argo? So as with all of our share options, any unvested stock options are, come back to the company kitty. All right, another question from email. In its Q3 numbers, Argo recorded a loss on the sale of investments of 1.01 million US or 750,000 pounds. What is this for? Good question. So in 2020, Argo acquired Class A shares in GPU-1 Holdings Inc., which is the parent company of GPU Quebec, which was our host in Quebec. Subsequently, we acquired the Baie-Comeau and the Mirabel facilities, and Hive Blockchain acquired the New Brunswick facilities. So the parent company ceased to exist, and all of the assets belonging to that parent company were distributed to shareholders, of which we were a shareholder because of the convertible note, and that led to a loss on investments as a result of the disposition. So that's kind of where that loss comes from, and that only was reflected in Q3 of this past quarter because the closing for the Hive deal happened at that time, and it all kind of closed up in the summer sometime, July or August. All right, Baba Adi. At Rakibol5, a bunch of numbers. Dear Peter, I hope you're well. Our question is as follows. How are you and your team? Just to let you know, we have full support from day one. We believe in you and Argo, simple as that. Mr. Adi, thank you. That's nice. I think our team's good. To answer your question, we are, coming off of the NASDAQ bell ringing ceremony, which was a really positive event for the team. It was great to bring most of our team there and have some time together. We did a day of co-working before then. Those kind of like bonding experiences, are really valuable for the company and valuable for team building, especially given kind of the remote nature of our team and the remote nature of work these days. We're across 3 different continents, many different cities, many different time zones. So these kind of opportunities to come together and meet are kind of few and far between and are really important. I think the team is really kind of focused right now on execution mode. We hit NASDAQ this year. That was important for us. We've got our dream facility, Bitcoin mining Nirvana in Texas. So now it's really about execution. It's about making sure that we hit our schedule, that we deploy the capital that we've raised in an intelligent way, and we mine as much Bitcoin as we can. And so that's kind of my focus right now is head down, execution. All right, Sam Foster, at Sam Foster 9 and a bunch of numbers. Hi, Peter. I hope you're doing well. Thanks, Sam. Hope you're doing well. My question is, what is your prediction for BTC price for December 2021 and December 2022? Sam, I'm not going to answer that. We have people on our team who would love to chat with you about what the price of Bitcoin is going to be in the future. I do not take my crystal ball out and predict the price of Bitcoin. I've been wrong too many times. So you probably don't want to hear my Bitcoin prediction. But obviously, I'm very optimistic long term for Bitcoin, and I believe it's going to continue to appreciate.